Hey everybody, what's up? Old School NYC Gamer back once again here with another video. Today for all you guys and gals out there, I'm going to be showing you a real treat, which is my Nintendo Game Boy and Game Boy Color collection. Now before we start off, I do want to note, prior to a trade I did with RRob78, which I got 5 games from him, a couple I can't seem to find right now, and that is Pokemon Pinball and Donkey Kong Land. So I do apologize in advance that I don't have them around, and I actually been looking for them, but of course, if you see my videos in the past and you see how much stuff I have in this game room, it's quite a bit. So I'm going to show you the games that I do have, and I want to show, some of you out there what they're all about and give you my opinions, and, just to let you know what's it all about. So let's start off here with the very first Nintendo Game Boy game that I have here, and that is Alien 3. Now, I can't really say too much about this game because I have not played it that much to give an honest opinion of it. But this game I did play quite a bit, and it was one of the other launch titles that came out for the Nintendo Game Boy, and that is Alleyway. Now think of this as a Nintendo version of a Breakout clone. I mean, that's, not too much I could say about this game, that's what it basically is. Next off, this is one of my favorite Game Boy games to play on the run when I had my Game Boy, and that is Arcade Classic 4, which basically has Defender and Joust. Pretty, accurate arcade ports, especially, for the Nintendo Game Boy. Definitely playable, very fun if you get your hands on this, definitely pick it up. Next off here, we have Bart versus the Juggernauts. And I've heard pretty bad reviews on this. I have not really played it as much to give it an honest opinion. Next up, this was a game I got from Tommy Boy 4550 when I won his contest a few months back, and that is Battle Arena Toshinden. And I gave it a quick play. Can't say I'm really into it that much right now, but I have to give it a fair shot to give it an honest opinion of what I think about this game. Next off here, this is a kickboxing game of all things. This is Best of the Best Karate. And this is a twofer, and I played this quite a bit. It's not bad, but it's not really that great. And that is Bo Jackson. And this is basically, just a baseball game and a football game. 2 games in one. And one of the better Game Boy titles here, and that is Bonk's Revenge. I did show a little bit of this when I was doing the Game Boy Color replacement screen. And for a lot of those who were asking, the capacitor on the sound is basically shot, so that does need to be replaced. As much as I tried the volume control, sound does not work. I have to get that fixed. And one of the crappier Game Boy games here I wanted to show just because I had it just for the hell of it, and that is Bugs Bunny and Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle 2. And this is kind of one of the more beat-up games, but excuse me, more of the playable titles for the Nintendo Game Boy Color, or for the Nintendo Game Boy, sorry, and that is Bust a Move 4. And one of the more funner games for the system, and I do got to admit, part of the franchise and definitely an awesome game, and that is Castlevania Adventure. And of course, off here, there's a very popular franchise for the Sega Genesis, and EA put this out. But actually, Ocean did this version of the game, and that is Desert Strike. And a classic, people, and this is, I do have to say, one of my favorite Nintendo Game Boy games. And it's definitely a twist off the classic, but it's definitely awesome, and that is Donkey Kong. Of course, if you want to know what the gameplay is like, just got to YouTube it or Google it. Definitely playable. If you see this in the wild, definitely grab it. Next up, people, we have Donkey Kong Land 2. Oops, sorry, just got to put it over to the side. And one of the games I tried out recently, I'm not too much of a fan of it, but I was definitely a fan of this person, and that is Evel Knievel. Now, one of the more favorite games I used to play when I was a kid for the Nintendo Game Boy, and that is F1 Race. And of course, here we have Wizard and Warriors X, or Wizard and Warriors 10, or however you want to say that. This is Fortress of Fear. And another awesome Game Boy game here, and that is Kirby's Dream Land. Can't say too much about this game, people. Definitely a classic in the Nintendo Game Boy library. Of course, here we have the Game & Watch Gallery. Now, for a lot of you who don't know what this is, of course, before the Game Boy, they did Game & Watch games, and it's pretty much how Nintendo really pushed their gaming market before the Famicom, then the Nintendo, so on and so forth. It has all the original, the very first original Game & Watch games ported over for the Nintendo Game Boy, and this is definitely an awesome series. I believe they had 3, if not 4, carts out for the Game & Watch Gallery. I could be wrong, but I believe there was 4 for sure. And next up here, people, we have Gargoyles. And of course, with certain franchises, certain, athletes have to cash in the video game market. One of them was George Foreman. This is George Foreman's KO Boxing. And one gift here I got from Cynical Enigma, and I definitely still got to do a gameplay of this, and that is Godzilla. And the next 2 games I'm not too proud of because they suck, and I necessarily really don't like the movie franchise itself, even though it has a few good one-liners here and there. And that is Home Alone and Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. And this is one of the crappier titles that was released for the Nintendo franchise in general. But a classic here in the arcades that was ported over to the Game Boy, and that is Marble Madness. And, of course, we have here NBA All-Star Challenge. Of course, you could continue on with a little bit of the sports theme here. You have NBA Jam 99, which is not that bad of a playable version of this game. Pretty decent. And next up here, people, we have NFL Blitz. Did a little testing of this game. It's okay, not great, but it's not bad. Decently playable version. And of course, a couple of classics here, and you can't go wrong with Pac-Man from Namco. And of course here, Ms. Pac-Man. And this is the special color edition for the Nintendo Game Boy Color. Definitely awesome. If you see this in a while, definitely pick it up. And of course here we have Penguin Wars. Now of course here, how this got ported over to the Nintendo Game Boy, I don't know why the hell they would do this. Pit Fighter. Enough said, I can't really talk that much about it because it's a crap game. But this isn't, and it's a classic, and that is Space Invaders. And not too much to be said if you do not know what this franchise is all about. Next up here, people, we have The Amazing Spider-Man, Star Wars, and Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. And of course, the pack-in game that I got, which was not Tetris, but Super Mario Land. And I beat this game, beat it to death. Still pretty playable. One of my favorite games for the Nintendo Game Boy. And next up, people, we have Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins, which I can't actually admit, I have not played too much of it, but I definitely want to give this one a go. So let me just move some of the stuff out of the way here, people, out of frame. And of course here, one of the better games for the Nintendo Game Boy I actually had a lot of fun by Ultra, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Fall of the Foot Clan. And of course, one of the more popular Nintendo sports titles that was ported over to the Nintendo Game Boy, and that is Temco Bowl. And this is tennis, which can't be said because it's freaking tennis. And of course, the main reason why a lot of kids got the Game Boy and basically put Tetris and the Nintendo Game Boy on the map, and that is Tetris. Of course here, sorry guys, I'm just looking at this one game here. This is the game here called Turn and Burn, which is basically an F-14 dogfight simulator. And of course, me being a gambling man, I had to get a Las Vegas game, and that is Vegas Stakes. Wario Land 2, WWF Warzone, and last but not least, people, The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages, which I could personally say I have not really taken a stab at this game. Surprisingly, the battery is still good, so there is a save in there, so I might just see what this game is all about. And that's about it, people. So like I said, it's a quick, well, I can't say that much of a quick video, over 10 minutes long. Some of my Nintendo games, Nintendo Game Boy and Game Boy Color collection, and that's about it. Hope you guys and gals enjoyed it. Feel free to leave me a comment down there where it says description. And check me out on Facebook and Twitter, and that's about it. Have a great night, everybody, and take care. Cheers.